As we speak, Bitcoin is quickly getting closer to its all-time high, and people are beginning to wonder why XRP hasn't moved yet. In this video, I want to discuss that exact subject and offer my assessment on whether or not XRP is currently stagnant, which is a negative indication of whether or not I see XRP's lack of movement to be concerning. I would like to walk you through the historical occurrences of Bitcoin's exponential runs and how they generally impact the price of XRP. This will help you understand why I think there's going to be something spectacular soon. I also want to share with you a startling incident involving Bill Hinman and the Ethereum free pass that happened in Congress today. Guys, I believe that John Dion currently has the ear of a few extremely powerful people in our nation. This channel greatly appreciates your help. Please take a moment to like these videos if you like them. And please subscribe to my channel, it will be of great assistance to me. I'd like to begin this video with some outrageous SEC behavior that has gone almost unnoticed until David Schwartz tweeted about it. You guys need to know what's going on here because it is incomprehensible that the SEC is still attempting to get away with openly lying in court and cheating, even after losing case after case involving cryptocurrencies. Check out this recent tweet that David Schwartz posted. After going over the Deadbox case paperwork, I can't believe the behavior. To obtain an emergency order that would cripple many enterprises, the SEC went to a judge and shamelessly misrepresented the facts to obtain them before the opposition could provide a defense. To get the judge to give an emergency ruling in an attempt to close down a business, the SEC essentially made something up to the judge in this Deadbox case. The SEC is currently lying outright in an attempt to win legal battles. They are trying to accomplish this while lying flat since they know the law is not on their side and they can't win with the evidence at hand. This is shocking, guys. The way the government is acting is startling. It is frustrating to see the government constantly pursuing bogus charges with manufactured facts, even though this behavior is reminiscent of what we saw in the Ripple case. I even tweeted about it in jest to a former SEC official I knew. I said, wow, a very respectable institution right here, and he said my staff would have never done anything like this, and it's very disappointing to see so, guys. I think this is pretty interesting because even the biggest SEC supporters are now coming out and turning against the agency. The SEC's behavior has gotten so egregious that not even the people who have been on their side since day one can even pretend to have the SEC's back. The SEC has lost all their supporters, they have lost all their government support. The agency is falling apart rapidly, and just so you guys know, they did not get away with this. The judge instantly called them out and said, you are straight up lying right here, you're making stuff up. I'm going to have to put sanctions on you in this court case so I don't have to worry about you lying again in the future. Guys, the SEC is an absolute sham of an agency. They are getting called out left and right. And like I keep saying video after video, we are so lucky that the court system has been doing their job and ruling in a fair and just manner. They have not sided with the SEC just because they're the regulator. They have not sided with the SEC just because they're a big, powerful government agency. They have been playing by the rules, and because of that, the SEC is losing on a level playing field. So many people were saying, oh, these courts are corrupt, they're just going to rule with the SEC. Guys, that has not been the fact. So despite the fact that we have a lot of issues in the United States, let's just all give a round of applause to our legal system because so far that looks like it is at least somewhat intact in protecting the cryptocurrency industry. So now I want to move on and quickly talk about some price action going on in the market right now. Since Bitcoin is clearly moaning, unless you've been living under a rock, you must be aware of this. Right now, it is 44,000. Many people are wondering when XRP will move at last because it appears that it won't be stopping anytime soon. However, I just want to quickly discuss why I believe a lot of people are seriously misinterpreting the current situation, which is that we are once again in a bull market now that the worst of what we went through is behind us. With one of the largest Ponzi scams in financial history, Terra Luna destroyed public confidence in the Bitcoin space. This Ponzi scam caused price drops of 50 to 60 to 80 to 90%. And since then, what has taken place? There has been a significant change in attitude. A decade ago, it seemed unlikely that any institution would deal with cryptocurrencies. Today, however, every major asset management firm is vying for its clients' business with a Bitcoin spot ETF. The narrative has drastically changed, and prices are reflecting this. You would be aware that I have been forecasting this change since the bottom of the current bear market if you have been watching this channel. As I mentioned before, the worst is not yet over, and institutions' perspectives on cryptocurrency are beginning to drastically change. They are beginning to sell their merchandise. This isn't because they believe the worst is still to come, rather, it's because they believe it is. And, gentlemen, it appears that's exactly what happened. Having said that, a lot of people are now wondering why XRP hasn't changed. Why is there such a huge spike in the price of Bitcoin? Ron and XRP had simply stopped moving. It is crucial to realize, folks, that XRP and Bitcoin do not move simultaneously based on historical data. The chart that you are seeing compares XRP to Bitcoin. You may not be accustomed to seeing charts like this one. Just be aware that XRP is rising in value relative to Bitcoin when we see these enormous green candles, and XRP is rising in value relative to XRP when we see these large red candles. You'll see that this chart is essentially a simple up and down chop. Unlike any other chart with Bitcoin against Ethereum or similar pairs, this one chops straight up and down because XRP versus BTC experiences large green and red candles because of their moves happening at different periods. Bitcoin and XRP do not move together. Bitcoin does not move with XRP, therefore when XRP appreciates against Bitcoin it gets super parabolic, and when Bitcoin appreciates against XRP that gets super parabolic in the other direction. So what am I saying here? Well, we should not expect based on history XRP and Bitcoin to appreciate at the same time. It never happens. Every single time in this market on XRP ver BTC we get a massive Bitcoin run, then Bitcoin stops, and then XRP goes, and that's why we get these huge candles in both directions. Because they simply don't move at the same time. When XRP is moving big, Bitcoin isn't, and when Bitcoin is moving big, XRP isn't. So should you be worried about the fact that XRP isn't moving right now on this big Bitcoin move? No, you should be extremely excited that we are finally watching liquidity come back into this market, and understand that liquidity always makes its way to XRP. It is usually delayed. Typically Bitcoin moves and then XRP, but what we know is what we are watching is not even close to unusual, guys. I don't think anything unusual is happening here. It appears to me that Bitcoin is probably going to level out pretty soon, and XRP is going to make its run just like it has every time in the past. What we're seeing is that typically, when Bitcoin comes down and touches this level against XRP, we have this massive shift back up to XRP appreciating against Bitcoin. Costa tweeted this. However, it looks like we are very close to another one of those moments, right around the corner. On June 14, 2018, Gary's boss in the SEC's Corporation Finance Office, Bill Hinman, presented a speech titled Digital Transactions. He famously said that Ether is not a security and talked about how tokens might change from securities to non-securities in this speech. Mr. Panic, you did read and offer feedback on the speech drafts, didn't you? Indeed, I did. You commented, after reading a draft, that it was preferable to have less information in the speech because the idea of a token changing from a security to a non-security was a novel idea that would spark a lot of conversation. Is that what I have? You believe that the SEC ought to provide the market with less certainty than more, in my opinion. Although I recognize that you anticipated a great deal of discussion around the token morphing notion, I perceive that the industry's complaints around ambiguity are the result of a deliberate policy preference. Does the current chair of the SEC hold that opinion? I therefore can attest to the viewpoint of the present chair. All I can say is that the answer to the question of whether a certain asset is a security is based on the facts and circumstances. As director of FinHub, I work with my staff to convey the facts to the people at the SEC who are responsible for making that conclusion. Reclaiming my time, it's usually going to be a sector of company finance, because that's a perfect segue. Since Chair Gensler assumed office, has FinHub released any guidelines outlining how the security rules relate to cryptocurrencies? FinHub is supposed to be a subject matter expert, as I stated, therefore, we're taking up your time, ma'am. I have a very specific query. Is there any guidance that FinHub has released? FinHub usually takes action against other departments and offices within the agency that are making claims about my time. Since his statement seems to be about rulemaking or enforcement by enforcement action, I will take a negative response. Ether was declared not a security by Hinman. Is that how you feel now? I am unable to comment on any particular asset. Just to recap, Brett Redford, the director of the SEC's Trading and Markets Division at the time, and you both offered criticism on the speech. First, though, the SEC said in court that Hinman's statement represented his viewpoint. Subsequently, the SEC contended that the speech solely represented the viewpoint of the Hinman-led Corporate Finance Division. However, why would anyone at the SEC, from FinHub to the Trading and Markets Division, comment on a speech that represents the opinions of a single individual or group? That's not logical at all. I hope you understand that I am unable to provide commentary on topics that are now under investigation or lawsuit. All right, fair enough. The SEC would argue that the speech is irrelevant to the market's understanding of how the SEC will regulate cryptocurrency, but Hinman did receive legal advice from the SEC counsel when he was drafting his speech. The Southern District of New York even referred to the SEC's arguments as hypocritical. The SEC is adopting its litigation positions, according to the court, to achieve its intended objective rather than out of a sincere commitment to the law. That is what we have all witnessed in Congress. The SEC is not abiding by the law. It constantly loses in court because of this. Does the SEC chairman give you orders to follow stances that further a certain objective over his agenda and disregard the law? Although I am unable to comment on any issues that are still in litigation, please know that I do appreciate it. I'll get my time back. You seem to have addressed the question. I'm grateful, Mr. Chair. I will return the remaining time to you.